Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to the Technology Innovation Hub. It's going to be a session from Oracle portal. It's going to be a session for mid team. The mid senior team. It's going to be from session from competency level 10 and above. I think you may remember we have built our grid standalone installation. If you take a look at the last recording on the Oracle portal, I think let me share this screen. Yeah, the last session from Oracle portal. Yeah, go to Oracle, right? Oracle portal. So this is what we have been doing. CP10 lesson 7. So this is about 12.2 grid infra installation, right? So you may remember we set up our environment, right? And we install grid and we have the standalone, grid is standalone, and we have the ASM environment, and we created the multi-tenant database as well, right? So I mentioned the whole purpose of building up this environment is to get familiar with the ASM and non-ASM and the multi-tenancy architecture, because we are planning to do some migrations. For example, the very first thing that you're trying to plan is how do you migrate from non-ASM environment to ASM, right? And as a beginning, starting of the practical, we can just do, okay, let's say a database we are having with multi-tenant architecture, but it is not in ASM storage, right? It is in local file system. So in that case, how do you migrate that database, which is having a container database, CDB, and a PDB, and a seed also there? How do you migrate that from the local file system to ASM? So that's all. So that's the very first scenario we are trying to consider from this session onwards. But on the upcoming sessions, we need to enhance the things, right? Because we need to go for how do you migrate from non-multi-tenancy environment to ASM. Then how do you migrate from a different host, right? Because now in this scenario, everything is on the same host. You will see what is going to happen when the practical is going on, right? And in the future, again, we need to do cross-platform. Likewise, we are heading towards that one with these competencies. I mean, this is not the beginning, right? This is not for beginners. I have mentioned this one. It is CP10, right? CP10 is mid-senior, the resources who are having at least 5 years of Oracle experience, right? Anyway, no harm. Beginners also can watch. You can see, they understand that is very good. Right, okay. So let's start the scenario, right? So the practical today, what we are going to start with, let me get into the environment, right? Yeah, okay. So this is the very first practical we are going to do, right? The scenario is migrate non-ASM multi-tenant Oracle database to ASM online. So that's the specialty here. Because to do this migration, because whenever you want to change the file system from local file system to ASM in Oracle, there are different approaches, right? You can go ahead with RMAN, you can go again RMAN duplicate, likewise, and most of these methods need downtime, right? But from starting from 12, Oracle 12, they gave a method to do it online, right? Without shutting down your production database, you can online while it's running, you can migrate to SM environment, right? So this scenario, we are heading in that path. We are considering that one, and we are trying to migrate without shutting down our source database, right? And we are trying to move the file system, right, from local to ASM. Right? So that's the scenario we are going to do here, right? Okay. So let's get started. Right. So the very first thing is we need to set up the ASM disk with sufficient disk space to occupy the new DB. Definitely yes, because now we are going to move a database which is in the local file system into ASM. So the very first thing is we need to have space in our ASM environment. I mean grid infrastructure environment, right? So you may remember, if I just show you our environment, right? You may remember at the installation, right? At the grid infra installation, we had this environment, right? We created this environment. We had the CRS, which is 5 GB. We created the data one, and we had the FRA as well, right? So, and we may remember we allocated 5 GB for both and something close 6 GB for 6 gigabyte for FRA, right? So the new, what we are going to do now, as a new disk, we are going to introduce a data to disk group, which is having nearly 11 GB of space, right? So this is the new data group we are trying to, this group we are trying to introduce here. So we need to create this one. Before starting the practical, we need to make this one available so that our local file system database, the multi-tenant database, can be transferred, right? Can be transferred to data to ASM disk group. That is what we are going to do. So we have some background work to get this, you know this one, right? I think even in the previous practical, while we configuring ASM, we did the same. We may remember we add external raw disk, right, from virtual machine, and we partition it using SDisk, and we create partition, then we initiated the ASM file system on that disk, right? So that's the same procedure you have to follow. So I have given the steps. So step 1, please add raw disk, right, to your VM, right? That you know, I'm not going to give that is step 2. You already know that, and I will give the reference here for you. When I upload this document, I will give the reference because I had demonstrated in our previous in the previous practical, I demonstrated how to do it. You know, it's pretty simple. You have to go here, right? And in the storage, you have to add the likewise, you have to power it off. You know that you have to shut it down and go to storage, right? Just to tell you again, and you have to go for the this where your VDI is running, your virtual machine is running. So click here, and you have to say add a new disk, right? Likewise, add the storage, right? Hard disk, okay, and you have to say create here, right, and continue. You know that, right? So this thing, same thing is there in the previous video as well. So get it added, right? So once you add it, you will get the new disk with SDC, because now already we have SDB, right? So SDB is available because we created the series for our ASM, right, previously. You may remember, again, if I go back, this is my VM which I'm working at the moment. That is where grid is running. So you may remember I have these, we added these things, right? 15 GB we added, right? So SDB is this 15 GB. So this is my new disk, which is SDC I have already created, right? So you need to create that one. And after that, when you list SDC, you will have the disk available for you, right? It will be visible for you, and you need to partition this one using fdisk, right? fdisk device SDC. Make sure you are giving the right disk, right? Otherwise, it will partition something else. And just we have to press enter because we have to say new partition. You know this thing, it is being demonstrated. New partition, and likewise all others you need to have press enter. Don't give any sizes. So because we are going to allocate in one partition this time, we are going to allocate the whole 11 GB. You may select your own size, that doesn't matter, only it to be 11 G, right? I have given 11 G, so I am going to allocate the whole disk space to this particular partition. 11 G is allocated, and I am updating, writing and updating. So after that, when I say this L again, if I list the disk, so then I can see the new SDC is created. You can see device SDC is having 11 GB of size, right? So that you can manage since we have done it previously. And now you can see the LS SDC 1 is available, the partition 1. This is my SDB series, which is for the ASM, right? Previous database which you have configured. So new one is SDC. So now I'm going to use this 11 GB space, and what I'm going to do, you can see SDC, okay, right? So initiating the header part, I need to initialize as is a ASM, right? ASM file system. So under root, right, not under grid, under root, I am running Oracle ASM, create this, the new name, my name is data2, you can give any name, and I am pointing the raw disk for the ASM header to be initialized. So it will initialize, it will do the initialization, and once it is done, then I can list it, Oracle ASM list this. So now you will see the new disk is available for ASM to use. It is initialized as ASM file system now, header part is initialized. Okay, then it's very simple. What you can do, I showed you earlier, you have to just run ASMCA. So enable the graphical system, Exos, and you can now go to grid because ASMCA is on the grid. The software is installed under grid user. So just export to enable the graphical system and just run ASMCA. So then what's going to happen, this window will pop up, right? And what you can do, very simple, you have to say right click and create a new disk, right? So that is what I have done here. Data 2 is being created. So make sure you are selecting external, right? So that is the same thing we did in the previous. All we are having external because we are adding new disk units. That's what. For the time being, let's keep it external, right? All right, and you can save that one and get the new ASM disk group ready for the migration from local file system to ASM disk for the new database, right? So now it is time to start the migration. All right. So we are ready to start the migration now. So the very first thing is, so let me just check PS-EF. So these are the available databases in my system. If I just show you the practical, I have the output, right? So ps-ef grep command, right? You can see it is showing me my existing ASM instance and my ASM CDB. You may remember the previous database that we have created while we are installing Gridimpa standalone, right? And a new database is this. This is my new database, ORCL CDB, which is having data files in my local file system. So this is the one we are going to migrate to ASM, right? So you can see I'm setting my SID because default SID is set to this one from the bash profile. So I'm changing it to my ORCL LCDB and make sure this database is created. That is one option. I haven't demonstrated that here. You need to have a database. You need to have a database created which is having data in the data files in the local file system, and make sure you are creating a small database, right? You know, you can run the DBCA. Those things are okay. This is not a beginner's, no, this is a mid-senior, right? So therefore, you know that. Run the DBCA, right? Database configuration assistant, and you go to custom database creation. Don't just go general purpose database creation. Go for a custom database creation and untick all of those options like the JVMs, label, spatial, text. You can untick all of those so that you can have a small database, right? And make sure you are selecting local file system. If you continue, because by default it will select the ASM because he knows the previous database is being created on the ASM and ASM this group is available. So DBCA by default will get to know that ASM instance is running. So therefore its priority is that. So he will point to by default to go to create your new database also in the ASM disk, which is something we don't want to happen. And you put it to local, right? Because you are going to migrate it to ASM. Secondly, okay. Right, so let me connect to that database. So it is connected and I'm right away going for RMAN, right? So then RMAN, why I'm going RMAN? Because I can run the report schema and check what are all available DBF files. You can see my report schema command is giving all the things in local file system, u01, right? I think in here I have 11, I have 3, 14 because these 3 are the temporary files. These 11 files are the files which are belong to CDB. For example, some data files belong to CDB, some data files belong to PDB, right? And other set belong to seed, right? Because we are creating a pluggable database. Remember, when you create in the database, enable CDB, right? We need to have a pluggable environment. That's the migration, right? We are migrating from not from a normal database. We are migrating to ASM, a multi-tenant database, right? Okay. So here we have 3 temp files for, again, one temp file for CDB, another temp file for seed, another temp file for PDB, right? So we have all the temp files. So all together, we are going to have 14 DBF files in our database, right? So we need to migrate all of these 14 DBF files to ASM. That is our task. All right. Right. Okay. So let's start the things. Okay. Since the video is running out of 15 minutes, let me stop here. I'll come back in the second session soon. So from there, we will start the script generation for the data files. Right. So I meet you soon. Have a nice day. Okay. If you like the video, you can put a subscribe. Okay. Bye bye.